Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. First, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. Welcome to the hearing officer hearing for case number CPC 2025-5392-CA. Today is Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, and the time is approximately 6 p.m. My name is Cameron Carrasquillo, City Planner, and I'll serve as today's hearing officer for this public hearing. I'm joined by the planners assigned to the Zoning Review Transfer Ordinance, Andrew Jorgensen, City Planner, and Claire Kelly, City Planner. They'll be conducting the presentation portion of this hearing. Following their presentation, Andrew and Claire will provide an opportunity to ask any additional informational questions you may have about the proposed code amendments. You can do this by using the Q&A Zoom function to type your questions after the presentation. Please refrain from providing feedback or anything that could be considered testimony during this question and answer period, and reserve that for the public comment period. Members of the public wishing to provide spoken testimony about this case should do so during the public comment period of this hearing. Additional public comments can be sent after this meeting to andrew.jorgensen@lacity.org until Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, for consideration in the staff recommendation report. After Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, any additional public comment should be sent directly to the City Planning Commission at cpc@lacity.org. Please include the planning case number, CPC 2025-5392-CA, with your comment to ensure it is considered in a timely manner. Before we begin, I'll share some general instructions on the virtual meeting format. This meeting is being recorded, and a copy of the recording and slides will be made available at the department's proposed regulations page at planning.lacity.gov/plans-policies/proposed-land-use-regulations. And I believe Andrew is going to share that in the chat following the meeting. Meeting attendees will be automatically added to the interested parties list for distribution of the letter of determination. When public testimony opens for this item, you'll be instructed to press *9 on your phone or to raise your hand in the Zoom app. When it is your turn to speak, planning staff will announce the last 4 digits of your phone number or name if it's available. You'll be prompted to unmute. Zoom app users can unmute using the microphone icon on the toolbar, and callers should dial *6 when prompted to unmute. To ask a question during the Q&A portion of today's meeting, which is following the presentation, please type your questions into the Q&A box available by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Staff will either provide written responses or verbally answer your question as time permits. We'll now turn to Andrew and Claire for a presentation, followed by a short Q&A.
Cameron. Good evening. Tonight, my colleague Andrew and I will be providing a short presentation going over the proposed Zoning Review Transfer Ordinance, as well as the overall Zoning Review work program and the creation of a new 5th Bureau in the Department of City Planning. Next slide, please. I will begin by providing an overview of the work program, and then Andrew will go into more detail on the proposed ordinance. Next slide. Zoning implementation, also referred to as zoning review, is currently split between the Department of Building and Safety, or DBS, and City Planning. Currently, DBS handles ministerial zoning plan checks as a part of building permit applications. This means that DBS reviews building permit applications for consistency with zoning regulations, along with consistency with building codes and other codes within the City of Los Angeles. Currently, City Planning conducts administrative review for projects that require an additional level of planning review, as well as review of discretionary applications for projects that are seeking to deviate or otherwise need exception or exemption from zoning regulations. Applicants can either start the permitting process at DBS or at city planning, depending on whether or not they anticipate needing the extra level of city planning review. To improve services, provide additional clarity for applicants, and facilitate improved communications between city staff, City Council and the Mayor have directed city planning to assume responsibility for conducting all zoning review services, including ministerial zoning review. This direction was taken through the adoption of the fiscal year 25-26 budget, which was adopted earlier this year. Next slide, please. There are several goals for the integration of all zoning review services into city planning, which will involve creating a new fifth bureau within city planning known as the Development Services Bureau. The first goal is to create a one-stop shop for all zoning review services. This means that going forward, all zoning interpretations and implementation of zoning review will be conducted within city planning, offering a streamlined experience for applicants and improving coordination between city staff who are reviewing projects. City planning seeks for this to be a seamless transfer of current services, offering no reduction in services that are currently available to applicants, while expanding services to further improve the customer experience. The goal of this program is also to minimize project delays and disruption, which can be caused by delays in communication currently between departments. Furthermore, integrating all zoning review services within city planning will help to reconcile building, zoning, and administrative code interpretations. Next slide, please. Today, there are 4 bureaus within the Department of City Planning, including the Project Planning Bureau, which oversees review of projects applying for either administrative or discretionary review, Community Planning, which oversees preparation of the city's community plans, which are part of our general plan, Citywide Policy, which oversees policy work such as development of our city's housing element, as well as various other citywide policy issues, and Operations and Engagement. Going forward, there will be a new 5th bureau, the Development Services Bureau, which will house both the new Zoning Review Division, offering services currently offered by Building and Safety, as well as services that are currently housed within City Planning's Project Planning Bureau. Next slide, please. Key functions that are transferring to city planning as part of the Zoning Review Division, which will be under the new bureau, include the Zoning Counter, which offers information on zoning to the public, either through in-person or virtual appointments, as well as through the city's 311 phone line, and Application Intake and Screening, which provides initial zoning review to applicants to help determine where a project should be routed, such as whether it can go directly to zoning plan check, if there are any planning related clearances needed, or if an applicant needs to file for a particular type of entitlement with city planning. Zoning plan check will also be moving with the Zoning Review Division. This includes what is known as regular zoning plan check, which is for larger, more complex projects, including commercial buildings, apartments, and new single-family dwellings, which often require several rounds of review and comment and take longer to review. And counter plan check, which is for less complex projects, including single-family additions, swimming pools, signs, and change of use. These are projects that often require a much shorter time frame for review. Additionally, case management and pre-development review services, which include providing feasibility studies and determination letters offering information on a site's zoning, yards, as well as information for subdivision cases. And the city's zoning code manual and informational zoning bulletins will be transferring to city planning. Next slide, please. The other divisions, which will be part of the new 5th Bureau, include the Office of Zoning Administration, which is a charter mandated office that has authority to interpret the zoning code and serves as the final authority on such interpretations. The Office of Zoning Administration will continue to conduct quasi-judicial hearings, issue determinations for various types of entitlements, including variances, conditional use permits, and adjustments. Under the new Bureau will also be the Specialized Services Division, moving over from the current Project Planning Division. This division manages specialized and program-specific services, such as affordable housing, case management services, wireless and telecommunication services, managing the city's home sharing program, as well as the city's beverage and entertainment streamlining program. Specialized services will also be the home of the new entitlement review program. Finally, the city's development services centers will also be part of the 5th Bureau. The development service centers, also sometimes known as the public counter, will continue to be the primary public-facing component of the department and serve as the new Bureau's front door. All existing locations of the public counter will be maintained. Application filings, condition clearances, and other expanded functions will be offered at the development service centers. Next slide, please. Under the new 5th Bureau and the move of zoning review to city planning, there will be a no wrong door approach for applicants. This means that projects will continue to be able to begin the process of getting permitting and city approval, either by applying for a building permit or by beginning the process applying for a city planning entitlement or administrative review. Projects will typically start at our development service centers for intake and screening. Ministerial components of a project, meaning projects that do not require discretionary review, or components of a project that don't require discretionary review, will be routed to the Zoning Review Division for ministerial zoning review. Specialized components that fit into one of the programs described previously will be routed to the Specialized Services Division, and discretionary entitlement applications will proceed to the Office of Zoning Administration or to our Project Planning Bureau for determination. Next slide, please. Some of the other enhancements that are a part of this work program include the new Entitlement Review Project pilot program, which will offer pre-development services to certain types of zoning administrator cases. This will involve assisting applicants in making sure that applications are complete before they're submitted, and offering other pre-development consultation services that will help to streamline these cases. Additionally, City Planning's case management services will offer expanded services, including a concierge service for projects that qualify to help guide them through the permitting process. Next slide, please. And now my colleague Andrew will go into detail describing tonight's proposed ordinance, which is the action that will effectuate the move of zoning review to city planning.
Thank you so much, Claire. And now that Claire has walked us through the background and some of the proposed organizational changes that would affect the Department of City Planning, I'll walk you through some of the more technical pieces of this ordinance that, as Claire said, would effectuate the transfer of the zoning plan check authority to city planning. So speaking broadly, the proposed amendments to the code in this ordinance can be categorized in two ways. First is whether this change helps to identify the roles and responsibilities for certain zoning review functions. And the second is embedding and codifying the ministerial zoning plan check process, which accompanies a building permit submittal into the zoning code. This next section goes into a little bit further depth about these code amendments and the specific reasons behind them. These first two topics relate to the codification of existing zoning plan check responsibilities. First will be the creation of a new code section within our administrative or ministerial procedures that would house this process. On a technical level, this is going to be Section 13B33 of Chapter 1A of the Municipal Code. And we'll just note here that even though this is a new code section, a lot of the language that makes up this code section is being consolidated from various other parts of the code that related to building and safety's responsibilities over the zoning code. So again, even though the code section is new, the language is moving over by and large unchanged. And then along with this new code section, there will also be a subsection relating to an ability to make minor modifications for certain extenuating circumstances. This is an ability that already exists under the code today, but it will be renamed to administrative modification of yard, area, parking facility, and loading space requirements in order to better distinguish it from some other modification procedures that exist within the code. The next two portions of this ordinance relate to the clarification of responsibilities as a result of the transfer of authority. The first codifies an existing process for building permits that are appealed due to zoning issues. Today, these case types are reviewed by the zoning administrator in practice, but the actual authority to do so is with the director of planning. This, as part of the Code Amendment Ordinance, would codify the current practice. And second, there are a number of ministerial programs that have their eligibility for certain incentives reviewed by zoning plan check staff. And the code references building and safety as the reviewing agency. Part of this ordinance will be shifting that reviewing agency to the Department of City Planning, along with the shift in zoning review responsibilities. Next group, this is a little bit more administrative in nature. So while preparing the ordinance, our team did find a number of typos, section references that we'll be correcting. Additionally, there's several reference tables that will require updates to the code to reflect the new code section. The last part of the ordinance edits to the code is the elimination of certain redundant mailings. So in addition to how members of the public receive hearing notices and determinations, there are certain actions that require mailings to other related city or county agencies. In this case, there's a number of mailings that would otherwise be sent to the building and safety zoning review staff. That zoning review staff is moving over to city planning, so this is a mailing that no longer needs to occur. So we consider this more of a general cleanup and procedural streamlining. And then just before we wrap up and go to the Q&A section, we'll just give you a brief look at the timeline for this effort. So first, as Claire mentioned, the transfer of zoning review was effectuated through the 25-26 budget. Next, we initiated these code amendments and the creation of the case numbers, case files, and the like in August and September. Following that, our department is currently engaged in the work of analyzing how different projects make it through the approval process from both a permitting and an entitlement perspective, with a lens of better identifying some improvements to the current development process through better integrating this zoning plan check process within city planning's functions. Separately, we're also in the process of implementing the changes to our organizational structure in areas such as the department website and doing some administrative behind the scenes nuts and bolts kind of things like making sure that the staff who do this zoning plan check retain the software access they need, and also providing them with updated badges and business cards. Our immediate next steps are going to be presenting a draft ordinance and staff report to the City Planning Commission on December 11th, 2025, followed by an official launch of the new structure and enhanced services sometime in late January.